Okay, welcome back to another episode of What If History Restarted. This is episode 32. Last time there was a war in Europe and stuff, so we're gonna pick off there. And this happened. So the first thing we're gonna do is look over here, because first of all I forgot to do that. But also, the Chinese civilizations have still been exploring out here. Just a little bit less, but still. In the past few episodes, they've explored all of this, so it's a few little branching pathways. Still haven't really got much of anywhere, but yeah. They do have Hawaii, so of course Korea is going to go ahead and colonize that. Well, they're going to try to, at least. Because after settling on this island, these settlers immediately all starved to death because this is way further than they expected. With that, exploring over here becomes even more taboo because they're just associated with starving to death and nothing good happening. So after just a tiny little push outwards, they still do not make any contact with anything. And over here in Europe, literally no exploration is happening in the ocean. There is some exploration up in Siberia, but still very minimally. Just like this. That is disintegrating Japan for some reason. Well, Japanese territory. I think this island is still undiscovered. Moving over to probably Africa, we see that Neo-Hijaz has been pretty much fine recently, but they're gonna not be that anymore, because after encircling these two countries, it becomes pretty apparent as to what they're gonna do, and that is invade them. And so they march right on down here, start taking over these territories. And it's over very quickly. In the city, there's a major. Oh, I just realized that was Lake Victoria. But yeah, I don't know why that looks like that. And this is now Neo-Hijaz, and they're getting more powerful. And of course that's going to result in more, because now they want to conquest Ethiopia. And so they go ahead and do that. They're much stronger than them now, so even though they have kind of difficult terrain, they do pretty well, and they capture the capital. And this Somaliland kind of country also joins in on this, moving out all the way here. Ethiopia completely collapses, and eventually it is divided up. The new border is drawn right around here. And Neo-Hijaz is now very large. And of course with that they're going to be doing their thing, which is a lot of this. And so after doing a lot of that, a lot of these people are very unhappy with them, of course. And so we start to kind of see that these yellow team people out here, who are increasingly small, are going to actually form up into a civilization just to be better defended. So they go ahead and do that. Anyway, moving over to Oman, we're gonna get a daily Holy Omani Empire update. So, there it is, the new Oman again. Hooray! Anyway, this country is finally gonna do something, which is actually go after the Holy Omani Empire. So they start pushing in through these countries. Basically, they just assume that these countries aren't going to actually defend each other, and then all of Oman will just kind of plunge into chaos, and then they'll just be able to go like, we. However, this is not the case, as when threatened with an outside force, these guys actually are pretty strong. So just to make things easy, we're just going to use this color. But yeah, these guys start pushing in pretty rapidly into this country. Egypt says, ooh, this looks good for me. And now this country, the Holy Omani Empire is still very divided, as you can see. So it's definitely not easy for these countries to defeat them. But because of Egypt, they suffer a lot less casualties in the war. So by the time they're defeated, the Holy Omani Empire as a whole has decently better relations with Egypt than they did before. So that's something. We'll just undid it. I did it on a separate file so that it would look cooler. Better transition. I didn't have to move the camera. But anyway, in this peace treaty, we're going to see something kind of interesting. So, unsurprisingly, Egypt gets a lot of this country. Not completely. That was probably a little bit too much, though, so we'll ungive them some. But as for the rest of the country, it's not just going to get balkanized like the rest of Oman. Instead, it just gets, I don't know which color to make it. We'll keep it, well no, we should make a new color. Yeah, we'll make it this color. This state is like collectively owned by all the countries down here. That's a truck, I believe. But anyway, all these countries kind of collectively own this land, and they can all use it. So yeah, it's not like an actual country, it's just this weird territory owned by all of these guys as a whole. This one owns it just as much as this one. Like, it's completely equal. Anyway, Egypt, I know it's going to be, just change the course of the series forever. They take this piece of the Sahara, so great going for them. Anyway, this green country over here, I think I mentioned this, maybe. They're kind of sympathetic for all the rebels up here, and I just realized there's still a capital up there. But, we're going to keep it, and that is because we see that these rebels are finally going to be popping up again. And this time, because Indus is very large and scary, these are actually going to be kind of funded by, like, everyone around them, secretly. So these rebels are a lot stronger than Indus expects, and they actually just kind of realize this, and then they say, okay, we'll let you take this. And these guys say yes to that. So now they get to be their country, right here. They kind of look like how this country used to look. So that's something. But yeah, they are here now. As for these guys, they actually are just pretty peaceful, and they don't really do a lot. Up here, this Russian country, a very bad blizzard happens, and the capital kind of just, in the blizzard, gets completely toppled. So that's a little bit of an issue. And then, there's already a very low population in this country, obviously. And out of, this tiny bit of population, about this much just goes and immigrates to other countries, or even just up into the Siberian wilderness. And so, they are now left with this tiny little piece of population. Obviously it's not here, it's just scattered. But when I say scattered, I mean it's probably like 2 cities down here. But anyway, this little piece of population is not enough to manage this whole country. And so we actually see something kind of surprising happens, which is that this country just outright collapses. It's just gone. They are obviously not going to be in the circle lines anymore, because they do not exist. Past that, why is that there? Okay. Yeah, they also just get completely absorbed into nothing. So that's interesting. Not too many countries really care about this land. We do see that Golden Horde probably goes and takes that tiny bit of population that existed, and then maybe just gets some land, and then says goodbye, because it's useless up here. Anyway, over in Europe, these two countries over here are getting into a war. This country's in Star Alliance. This one is not. Why is there a random square here? Yeah, this country's in no alliances. So the Star Alliance is just like, yeah, you do this on your own. We really don't care. And so they're going to do it on their own. Now, this country, surprisingly, even though it's a lot weaker, is actually managing to kind of humiliate this country by winning this war currently. They actually managed to take their capital, and now things aren't looking good for this country. See a little rebellion form up here, which will not be that color. But yeah, this little rebellion pops up because they are very... This is like a group of the military, actually, that just went up here and kind of established their own thing, because they just don't even want to be associated with this anymore. Anyway, this country actually does manage to kind of pull itself together, but still not completely, so they eventually have to give up this land. And even further, this country becomes independent. So yeah. Denmark is definitely eyeing it up, but they do not take it yet, at least. Scandinavia, really nothing happens. Looking down to Central Europe, however, things are going to happen. You see another just kind of random war between this unaffiliated country and this Square Team country. The Square Team country is also failing, but this war is a lot closer. So it actually just kind of stalemates for a while around here, until people in the east of this country start getting pretty rowdy that they are not being fed because they have to focus on feeding the soldiers. And so because of that, we see a nice little rebellion pop up over here. And that's not good. Thankfully, they do not border any star countries. However, they do border this old dude. And this old dude is going to be attacking them. And yes, so these three countries, the rebellion, this external random European guy, and of course it's kind of like the Byzantines. All three of them equally beat up this country, and now we're looking at the peace treaty. It is going to be something like this. The country managed to just... I don't like how square everything is getting. I'm going to make this not square. Sure. That looks terrible, but it's fine. So yeah, that country exists. This country gains independence. And the rest is given over to the Byzantines. Or Ottomans. I don't really know what you would call them. And yeah. So rest in peace to a Square Team country. Because this country is not going to be remaining in. Also, for some reason, the capital of Greece, or former capital of Greece, is still a capital, so let's not have that. What is that? It's like little yellow things here. There we go. It's on the alliance layer. Speaking of this country, something that's very ideal for them is about to happen. Because over here at the Circle Team, they're getting into a very big argument. It's mainly between these two countries. If you look at the religion layer, you can see that they are both kind of taking a very decent chunk of this light brown Russian run. And now obviously this country down, Golden Horde, wants control of it because it is Russian. Golden Horde is more Russian. And also, I guess, because the Golden Horde is getting, like, Europeanized, we can kind of show that by making them slightly different in color. Yeah. But yeah, these guys want this, Russian people. And Finland says that since they already have it, it should be theirs. And, of course, since things cannot be settled peacefully because people are stupid, these two countries are pretty much going to have to, like, just ask the other countries for who wants to support who. So, we see that the blue team supports Finland, Persia supports Golden Horde, and with that, the only other circle team country is Egypt, and they're kind of the deciding vote here. But in the end, they go ahead and support Golden Horde. So Golden Horde is very happy, and Finland is now forced to give up all of their Russian territory. So I have an idea. All this Russian territory is now given over to Golden Horde, who also just kind of swoops in and takes all of that. But now this looks really weird, so let's just goodbye. Make this smoother. Now Finland has this very weird looking panhandle, and they are very unhappy. And it was kind of pointless that I just moved their circle over, because I'm sure you can see where this is going. They're leaving the Circle Alliance. They were neutral for a while, and they want to go back to being neutral now. Who even is in this religion? Pink people. Okay. So yeah, Golden Horde, though, was like, yeah, that's okay then, guys. However, if you remember, the blue team, they still were in support of Finland. And seeing them leave is making them question whether or not they should be in this alliance. And matters are only made worse because they already had pretty high tensions with Golden Horde, because they really wanted this coast, which they used to have, but Golden Horde, of course, said that they could not. And so we're going to see that the blue team also is going to opt to leave the Circle Alliance. With that, the Circle Alliance has been majorly weakened to just 3 countries. And now this is obviously good news for the Byzantines, because the Circle Alliance was the main thing getting in their way, and now they are gone. So, what are they going to do? They're going to say, hey guys, we should beat up the blue team, shouldn't we, right? And all the other countries are going to agree. All the other Circle Team countries, at least. And so, even though the Circle Team countries don't like the Byzantines, they're going to be putting aside their differences to beat up the blue team. So, they all start moving in, including the red team, even though no one wanted them to. But that's okay, I guess. I mean, obviously not Egypt because they don't border it, but, you know, they start sending in their troops and stuff. So the southern part is pretty quick to fall. And I mean, obviously the blue team is not stronger than all 4 of these, well, all 5 technically, of these countries. And yeah, this is kind of just a massacre. It really does not go well for the second oldest country in the world here, as they get completely and utterly folded. This is no bueno. This is especially bad. They feel extremely betrayed for 2 reasons. Number 1, the Circle Team is working with their former biggest enemy. There's still a little Cypriot dot down here. That's fun. And number 2, Finland did not come to support them. They literally left the alliance just so that they could support Finland more. And then when the alliance they just left started attacking them because of what they did to support Finland, Finland did not support them. So, yeah, they're definitely not too happy with Finland. But regardless, we're going to have to look at this peace treaty. Yeah, for some reason the red team wasn't fully red. I don't know why, so let me just do that again. But we'll also need to get rid of the Cypriot dot. There's a lot of those hanging around in places. good old Byzantines are getting a ton of land out of this, mostly along the Caspian or Black Sea coast. Golden Horde is also getting a nice chunk out of the north. Persia is getting this weird little sliver of land, as well as pushing all the way up here to this lake, even. And then the red team is getting this new little panhandle that's been created. As for the rest of the blue team, things are not doing too good for the people here. And yeah, long story short, the entire thing starts to collapse. As we now see that 3 different countries get made. Or, yeah, it's better. Maybe not even 3. Or actually, yeah, probably 3. Make it like this color. Never mind, that looks impossible to see. And you know what, we'll even make it 4, because we're feeling so rambunctious today. So yeah, this country even moves its capital. The city is way bigger than this one. However, they just do not want to be associated with the blue team. This country gets right here. This one up here. And that is part of Golden Horde. Oh, but this one also needs one. And I also don't like their color because it's too close to Persia. Persia color. Kind of gray. But yeah, rest in peace, blue team. You might be missed. Now, the reason Finland didn't want to support them is because they were very scared of all 4 of these countries. But they do feel pretty bad now. And they consider trying to do something to get revenge on the Circle team. And it might be even sort of maybe trying to build relations with the Byzantines. But we'll just have to see about that. Unless we do it in this episode, because I'm just so crazy. So, yes, a new alliance is going to be constructed over here. If I can find the alliance layer. And also a new shape. We will make it the Pentagon Alliance. So, Finland, as well as the Byzantines, are the ones who formed this. And they're soon joined by the red team, who kind of hates Finland, but they just have to put aside their differences. And yeah, the red team joins, and these are 2 founding members. So it's a 3 versus 3. I don't know if anyone else would want to join this. We could actually say the Holy Omani Empire would. So yeah, the whole entire Holy Omani Empire joins this alliance on the... Well, actually, no. That's stupid. These countries would definitely be split. So, you know, how about this guy? I don't know why they would. Oh, actually, yes, I do. It's because they would want protection from this country, the Byzantines. So would this country. So yeah, yet another new alliance is here. And I believe these countries do not have capitals. So let's fix that. Is this country just the red team? No, it's slightly different. But yeah, that's going to do it for this episode. So, goodbye.